Good afternoon, Las Vegas. Greg DeVille back in the studio, Hot 702.5 FM. Listen, this is what we do. We talk real estate. Listen, the rates have changed, as you can see right now, what's happening with the interest rates. Now, certainly, Ukraine and all this going on with Russia and Putin and so on and so forth is creating an uncertainty in our community and around the nation. And it's affecting our rates. So I've been on radio now like 7 years. And so what I want to make sure you understand is all the time I've been talking about it, rates now have gone even higher. So right now, as I was speaking, as you always know, I want to directly to the lender to know exactly where we are. And here's what the lender gave me on today. Hot off the press. You ready? All right. 4.75 to 5%. Are the interest rates right now. Now, the lender said, DeVille, make sure you let them know we don't have those 2.5s anymore. We don't have that 2.99 interest rate anymore. So what are you going to do? You need to get a pen, tell a friend, get ready now to get your own home. Because if you don't do it now, the chances are it's only going to get higher. So right now, with a FICO score of at least 750, look, 4.75. Now, can you imagine below that where your number possibly could be? You've got to get your scores up. That's the base of my show today. Is let's talk about getting your scores up. Although we know we can get you into a home with a 580 credit score if you got some money saved. But what does that mean? That means your rate is going to be higher because right now, even with a 640 FICO, you're at 4.375 to 5.2. Now, the lower the score, the more the rate. So I need you to work on getting those scores up. How do you do that, you say? So look at your credit cards. Begin to look at what you owe, your balances. Right now, it should not be higher than a third. 30% of that balance. You need to bring that down so your debt ratios look better. Helps your scores out. So right now, with the rate changes that we're seeing, the home prices are on the rise. And so I hear people say, well, I'm going to wait until the market crash. Listen, we're not expecting a crash. We're expecting a leveling off, right? Where things will level off. We don't expect a crash. The rates are just going up since the past 3 or 4 years. We have been in a low market rate. I mean, I've sold homes to people with a 2.2%. Where are you going to fall from there? Now, remember, when we did have the crash, where were we at? 6.5, 7.3%. Remember those days back 2004-5? Yes, those numbers were there. So we had something to fall back. But listen, as we are right now, we expect this market to level up. Right where we're at. It's like an airplane. It took off. And I mean, it was down the runway and we going up. We're about that 38,000 feet right now where the stewardess are preparing to walk down the aisleways, right? That's when you're kind of leveling things off. Then the stewardess come out, right? So when the stewardess come out, things are that's kind of where we are right now. Things are beginning to level off. Even the appraisers are being more conservative. Now, before you could put a price on the house and appraisers will say, yep, you good, you got it. But today, appraisers are really being conservative. I've seen some numbers like $10,000 off. And it's really making it challenging. Hey, there's my wife. Hey, babe, I hope you're enjoying today. It's a beautiful day here in Vegas. Listen, so while the rates are looking really fair to some degree, I can get you in with no money down. But you got to keep in mind, the credit score is very, very important. You've got to work on your scores. Now, keep in mind, I can get you into a property with the 580 credit score. If you've got some money saved, guess what? We can get you into a property. We can get you into a home because as the landlords are losing their rabbit minds out here, yes, they are. My goodness, I've been getting messages from people who are saying their landlord went up $600 overnight. So what are you going to do? But let me say this. This is what it's going to take for many of you to do what you should have done long ago. Many of you now are going to take the opportunity to get into your own because with what you're paying for rent, you can pay a mortgage. Remember, if you can pay rent, you can pay a mortgage. That's right. 702-515-4100, or you can contact my direct number, 702-787-7559. Greg DeVille, Team DeVille, DeVille Realty Group. Level up on your credit scores. The better the score, the better the rate. Just talking to a lender, he says, listen, the DPA, there's some funding available. There's supposed to be a new program coming out. But as everyone knows, this new money that Biden's looking to send over to NATO may hold off on us getting that money. Now, there are a couple programs in town that we do have money for. And so we want to make sure that you get the opportunity to get those funds. Hi, Deborah. Good to have you with us. Rosie. All right. There you are. Glad you all tuned in with us on today. So keep in mind, the better the score, all right? The better the score, the better chance. Hey, Albert, how you doing, brother? The better the score, the better the rate. So if your scores are down, expect to get a higher rate. But still, it's competitive with what landlords are doing. Because remember, landlords right now are doing what they want to do. You can, when you're, now keep in mind, if you're in a lease, now, if you know your scores aren't there, but you need to sign a lease, try to sign a 2-year lease because they can't change. Well, I say that, but now these new leases are being drawn up. So because a landlord can draw a lease to whatever he wants it to be. So a landlord can say, and you're in need of a home, a landlord can actually tell you right now, I want to reserve the right to increase rent during the term of the lease. Now, they can do that because as an owner and I lease you my property, I have a right to put in the lease my terms. I can put in there, I want to come through the house every 6 months for 1 day. And if you agree to that, every 6 months for 1 day, I can come visit the property and look at the upkeep. Whatever I decide to put into my lease, it's my lease. And you want the property, guess what you do? You sign it. But if the landlord has given you a lease in the last year or two and they don't have that clause that states I can increase rent during your lease, then by law, they're not supposed to. No, neither can you break a lease during a lease term unless agreed upon the leaseor and the leasee. It has to be mutually agreed upon. But now, remember, these landlords may change the way that they've been traditionally doing leases. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Donata Vincent, glad to see you today. Albert, man, thank you for tuning in. So listen, now, if you have a 401k, here's what I want you to understand. With the 401k from your job, you can use those monies without penalty to purchase your first home. Okay, maybe your second home, whatever. But you could do it to get out of that rental. If you're in a rental right now, you need to get out of there. Find a way. If it's getting the down payment, if the money is the issue, guess what? You need to find a way. We have several ways that we're helping families at DeVille Realty Group. We've got several ways to do it. So just keep that in mind. I want to help you get out of that situation with the landlord because the landlords are really taking advantage of with this rental increase. It's crazy. So again, a 580 credit score, your interest rate, it's going to be a little bit higher. Nonetheless, keep it in mind. It's better than what the landlord is paying or you're doing with the landlord. Because here's what I want you to know. With the landlord, you're paying 100% interest rate, right? So if I sell you a home with a 6%, but you're renting at 100 with no return on your investment, but now I'm going to say, look, selling you this house, 6% interest rate with a return on your investment, which sounds better? You probably said the 6%, right? Well, FYI, the interest rates are 5%. Now, with the down payment programs, the funding is there. You've got to qualify. Now, the better the FICO, the better the qualifying. Okay, so we want to educate during the Greg DeVille Let's Talk Real Estate show because that's what we're all about. We're about empowering through education the real estate community. Now, the 401k, 580 credit score. Now, guess what? That's going to put you at a 5%. But at least in 3 years, you can refinance it Some say within 1 year, but I'm talking about refinance with a cash out. Now, the cash out still is going to determine, your credit score determines if you can do a cash out. Number one, you can't be late for 12 months in order to do a cash out. You cannot be late for a 12-month in order to do a cash out. Now, your credit score on this refinance cash out has to be at least a 650. So keep in mind, keeping those numbers relevant is very, very important. Remember, when someone owes you, you want to be paid back. Well, that's what happens when you buy a car, when you borrow money, when you take out a loan. They want to be paid back. Now, your ability to pay back determines your FICO score. You have a poor track record, that's how your credit score looks. So let's take responsibility for borrowing this money and paying it back on time. We're having too much fun doing other stuff and paying our bills late. And guess what? Now we're paying for it because the landlord is selling the house. And guess what's going to happen? Now you got to find somewhere to go, but they're going to be looking at your credit score, which is a reflection of your ability to pay. We've got to do better. But this market, this industry where we are today has driven us to get it together. Now, it took this for us to get it together. I'm getting a lot of people right now that are taking the opportunity to contact DeVille Realty Group and asking about rentals. And we say, look, we don't do rentals because we can't get a rental right now. I mean, they're taking 12 applications. But let's do this. Let's set you with a lender. Let's find out if you qualify. If you do qualify, here's what we're going to do. Have we seen it before? Man, you'll be surprised at the amount of people that have come through our office, our phone lines, that have said they're looking to rent. We set them with a lender. They got pre-approved. Guess what? They're homeowners. They're like, I didn't even know I could purchase a home. That's why the Greg DeVille Let's Talk Real Estate show is so valuable. It's showing you how to get a return on your investment. You're paying into the landlord's return on his investment. Because guess what? Every 3 to 5 years, he's refinancing the house. That's the reason he goes up on the rent. I refinanced the home. My mortgage payment went up $100. So if it was a rental, guess what? I just charge it to the tenant. Oh, I'm going up $100 this year. Guess what? Because my mortgage went up because I did a refi. So that's what you see a lot of landlords doing. Or maybe they went out and bought a new car. Guess who's paying for it? You are. As a tenant, they went up $400. Well, guess what? The new car they bought, the payment was $345. They went up $400 on you. Well, you're there. You didn't know. But that's why the Greg DeVille Let's Talk Real Estate show is so valuable, so important, is to give you great information. To give you something that maybe you didn't think about. Maybe you hadn't given much thought to. But guess what? After hearing this today, I hope you decide to make a change. Deborah, I hope this is good information for you today. Because landlords, one or two options. They're either going to go up on the rent or they're going to consider to sell the property. So if they're going to sell the property, you got to relocate. So why not take the opportunity? Contact Team DeVille 702-515-4100 and let's get you pre-approved. If your credit isn't there, let's get your credit on track. Because if you're in a lease right now and time is expiring on your lease, this is the time where you need to let this be your last lease. Draw a line in the sand, okay, and say, this is my last lease I'm ever going to sign in my life. Make a commitment to yourself. Now, is the mortgage going to be a little bit higher? Perhaps. I've got a client, they're buying a home, but guess what? They've been hearing the Greg DeVille talk show for the past 2 years. The husband's been hearing me. The wife been a little reluctant to really kind of follow through, but one day she sat down and she listened. And my statement was, at least if you pay a mortgage, you get a return on your investment. The landlord, when you pay rent, gets the return on the investment. She got so excited listening to that information. They're purchasing a home today. It's going to cost them more than they're paying rent, but they understand the long-term investment, that's a return on your investment. Because all these years you've been renting, who's been getting the profit from what you do? You go to work every day, right? That's right. You balance the books and balance the check so that you can pay your bills. But it's sad to think you're paying your bills only for someone else to profit from what you pay. So if I could sell your home with no money down, would you buy it? Now, many of you have money. You've got some money saved. You've got a 401k. You'd be better off using your own money down versus the free money. But if you don't have any money down, we have that for you. 702-515-4100 or contact 702-787-7559. Greg DeVille, Team DeVille, DeVille Realty Group. The benefit of owning property, the tax deduction with a home purchase, get to write off the interest. Now listen, for the first 10, 15 years, mostly interest. Very little goes to the principal. Very little. But if you want to know how to pay it off sooner, pay a little bit each month additionally to your mortgage payment. So you could take a 30-year mortgage and pay it off in 15 years. It's called paying a little bit more, but you've got to apply it towards the principal. And you've got to notify the mortgage carrier that you're applying it towards your principal. Otherwise, they'll eat it up in interest. Oh, you didn't say anything. We didn't know. We thought you were just trying to get the interest covered. That's the first thing they go to do. So once you notify them that you want this additional payment to go towards your interest, towards your principal, it buys down the principal, which you could pay off in 15 years versus 30 years. Just FYI. So the deductions, in many cases, are great for you when you own a home. Guess who gets those deductions when you pay rent? The landlord. So to the person who says, well, you know, DeVille, I don't feel like being responsible because when the house something break, I call the landlord. So did you know the landlord has a home warranty? Who do you think the landlord calls when you call him? He's calling the home warranty company. So why not let us get you a home warranty, and something goes wrong with the house, whether it's from the AC to the sewer line, right? You're covered with the home warranty. So let's do away with all the excuses. But again, with the landlords, increase on rents as they are, it's driving more people to get their own. Our phones have been ringing non-stop. Now, it took us 7 years on radio for people to finally get it. It took it took for landlords to have the freedom to do it. They've always had it, but they weren't exercising like they are today. Today, they're going crazy. They just, I want a new car. I'm going to charge it to the tenant, $450, $600. That's a car payment. What changed in his finances that made him change overnight? Something made the change. Not just the fact that we could go up. You always had the ability to go up. But the numbers they're going up, $200, $400, $600, $800? Yeah, you try to buy a Hummer or something. I don't know. Something's going on. If you're a veteran and you never heard the Greg DeVille show and you're just tuning in, let me say first, we appreciate your service. Number two, you have a certificate of eligibility. We can help reinstate your certificate. I know you used it before. You've used your VA certificate, your benefits. Guess what? You can still reuse it. In fact, we have some people who have a home today, but they don't have the money to buy another home. But that home that they're in is more than they need. Or it's two-story and they really want a single story. So take advantage of using the equity in your home. Do a refinance from that VA mortgage into a conventional loan, which is now freeing up. What is it doing? It's freeing up, guess what? Your VA eligibility. Because why? You're in a conventional loan. So now you could sell the home and now your VA is free. So these are the kind of things that people didn't really think about because they need another property. They just don't know how to do it. But that's what the Greg DeVille Let's Talk Real Estate Show is here to empower. Now, I know there's a lot of realtors and lenders that listen, and that's okay. But understand this. If you want a reputable real estate firm, the largest black-owned real estate firm in the state of Nevada, 3 locations in southern Nevada to serve you, contact Team DeVille. I'm Greg DeVille. I am the broker owner at DeVille with my lovely wife. We are having fun helping families gain generational wealth. This is what we're doing. Because guess what? The wonderful part about real estate is you have the ability to leave it when you're gone. Now, you can leave an inheritance or you can leave a debt. The debt being you die and you leave that rental. So, well, it just goes on to someone else. But you own the property. You're able to what? You're able to leave it to your heirs. Again, great information. Wouldn't you agree? 702-515-4100. I was speaking to the lender on today, and we were discussing a transaction that they're working on right now. And one of the ones that was really hit home with me. He says, I'm doing a loan over $1 million. He said, and the buyer failed to disclose they got some money from wherever it came from, PPP, whatever, doesn't matter. But they did not disclose the fact they got some money in their account. When the lender asked for the last 2 months bank statement, it showed over $1 million, and it killed the deal. You've got to be very forthcoming, upfront, truthful, honest with your lender. Now, don't hold on to the myth. Buyers are liars and sellers are too. Listen, when you're trying to get a loan, things come out in the wash. I'm going to tell you, it would behoove you to be honest. Say, look, I'm dealing with this. I've got that. And guess what? The lender can work around it. But if the lender's in the middle of a deal and this comes on the table, there's no way around that. We could have written a letter to say you got some PPP money, that you are starting a business, and this is what it was sent for. Could have probably got around it. Could have wrote a letter. But now it comes up in the bank. Say, wait a minute, where did this $1 million come from in your bank? It considers money laundering in the state of Nevada. So anytime you have monies unaccounted for, it shows money laundering. Listen, the federal housing, they're watching tightly Nevada. Probably everywhere, but we live here. So I'm telling you here, they're looking very, very tight with magnifying glasses. Because remember, when they do the loan to get you that home, they sell the loan. So certain criteria has to be met in order that they might sell that loan. To those of you who've had a mortgage, well, you started off with Carrington, but a month later you got, we just bought your loan from so-and-so, and now you're with United Mortgage, right? So that's what they do. That's what banks do. They sell paper. That's what they do. So I'm saying that when you're working with your lender, now when you contact DeVille Realty Group, we're gonna have a questionnaire for you. Now, determine on what answers come on your questionnaire determines what lender works best with you. If you're VA, we set you with VA lenders. If you're a first-time buyer, we set you with first-time buyers. Lenders that know first-time buyer answers. We're not going to put you with a novice, someone who's not aware of what you're working with. We're not going to put a first-time buyer with a VA loan. We need them to know about doing VA loans. So we work with about 8 or 9 different lending institutions. We're a broker. Okay. As a broker, we have several lenders. Now, have we ever had a lender that just couldn't produce? Absolutely. But even when that happened, we just closed one on today. In fact, the lender, her company couldn't allow some things that came up in the loan. But this other lender who was a broker was able to get the loan done. So it's just different lending institutions with different guidelines. So I want you to make sure you're being truthful, forthcoming with your lenders. Get your documents. When we send you to the lender, you want to expedite. Now, I just had a deal that fell apart yesterday. Now, they had put up $2,500 earnest money. Now, because they changed their mind too late in the game, they lost $2,500. Now, it's very important that you stay on top of your documentation. When you get pre-approved, stay close to your phone, check your messages, Check your text messages. Stay very, very close, because if the lender needs something, we need you to expedite it, because the lenders are working. Listen, to close a home, typically we can do it in 25 to 30 days. Once you pre-approve and you find a home. Now, keep in mind, we're in a multiple offer home purchase right now with these properties. They're taking multiple offers. What does that mean? That means you and 7 or 8 or 10 other people like that house. It's not the realtor. It's what you like, and we write the offer. An agent called me yesterday, says, DeVille, man, I must have written 5 different offers for my clients, and everyone gets rejected. He said people are overbidding, and that's the market we're in. I just had an appraisal come back, and the buyers came in to get the offer accepted, came in $10,000 above appraisal value. $10,000 above appraisal value. So it appraised at $600 today. So guess what? They're paying $610. This is the market we're in right now. So you're going to need some money saved, because even though you get the DPA, I have another client. They had to at least come up with $5,000 above because the appraisal came in less. They had to bring another $5,000. The seller wanted $10,000 because the appraisal came in $20,000 less. Because as I mentioned to you, they're being conservative with appraisals right now. So if you're thinking about selling your home, DeVille Realty can help. Now, this deal that was looked at, the appraiser came in low. We try to push the envelope, but depending on the appraisal, the appraiser, he may be very conservative. So this deal came $20,000 less. The seller said, I'll take 10. The buyer said the best I could do was 5. Because we'd already been in the transaction, the seller accepted the $5,000 above appraisal to keep the deal moving. We actually close tomorrow. They're actually signing in the morning at 7:30. They're getting out of that rental before the landlord says, I'm increasing your rent. Now, they're in a lease. Now, another thing that's great advantage I want to talk to you about is, although you're in a lease, like they're in a lease, they're able to buy out early. They had to leave the security deposit, right, and pay 1 more month. Fair enough, right? Because they were in it till about September, October. But they're going to get their keys the end of March. So if you speak with the property management, now you want to make sure you get pre-approved, and you want to talk about that before you just go because you want to make sure, right? Another deal we closed this week, the buyers are giving their 30-day notice. I'm giving them their keys tonight. So they're going to give that 30-day notice for the April. So they'll pay the month of April, right? So they have a 30-day move out, which is fair. I mean, rather than trying to rush and move from one house to another, they'll do it. They'll take their time through the month. You know, if there's some work they want to have done or some improvements, some painting perhaps, they've got some time. Because remember, when you close, your first payment isn't due for 45 days. So although they close the end of March, their first payment isn't due until May 15th. So that's the other advantage to owning property. See, there's a lot of advantage. So we talked about the writing off the interest, right? One of the other advantages is your mortgage payment isn't due until the 15th. Now, after the 15th, it's late, but it isn't due until the 15th. You have April 1st through April 15th to make your payment on a mortgage. But on a rental, you have April 1st to April 5th. On the 6th, you get an eviction notice. Engineer says by the 3rd. Now, we've been giving grace to the 5th on most, but most people give you to the 3rd. And then by the 5th, you get an eviction notice. Well, that's by law. By law, they have to serve the notice. Otherwise, the judge goes down on them, on the owner, and said, why didn't you serve the notice sooner? So these are kind of things you wonder why the landlord is I've been paying rent all this time, and I'm late one time he served. Well, by law, we have to serve you notice. Now, whether you pay the rent, we just dismiss it, right? But by law, we have to serve the notice. That's just the way that goes, okay? Now, again, so I don't want to continue on a rant with this, but make sure when you get pre-approved, be realistic with what you can afford. Be realistic. Now, keep in mind, because the interest rates are increasing, your payment may be more than what you're accustomed to paying in rent. But the advantage is you got a return on your investment. So although you're paying $1,200 a month on a rental, now your mortgage is $2,300. I know it's a big leap, but guess what? The great advantage is you get that at the couple of years you can refinance it. Person says I have a 703 credit score but don't make enough money monthly. So your monthly determines your eligibility, right? How much are you qualified up to? That's the deal. You have great credit, but you don't have enough income. Well, so it's always determined by your debt to income ratio. So I have people with poor credit, but they have great amount of income, but their credit is poor. So what does the lender do? He gives them a higher interest rate, but they're able to qualify because you're able to live on a third of your income. So when they calculate it, then you won't be able to qualify for much at that income, sorry to say. Not that you can't try and see what you can come of, but where the home market is right now, it is a very, very challenging market. But you very well can contact my office and talk to the lender. Let them give you options that may be available. Okay? Contact 702-515-4100. 702-515-4100. So I'm answering the question. The credit score is 703, but your income is only 1,900. So right now, because again, where the home values are today, I mean, it depends on the area. I mean, maybe you could find a small condo, but you'd have to talk to the lender to find out how much you qualify. Because remember, even though you have that income, but what debts do you have? Do you have a car note that comes out of that income? Do you have credit cards that come out of that income? Because all that goes against the income, which is debt. And then it's determined of how much you can qualify for. So I don't want to be a discouragement, but I want to be realistic with you. Now, the lender will give you more details. Again, the contact to get with the lender would be 702-515-4100. Now, if you have a 700 or better credit score, the interest rates are looking a little bit better. You know, interest rates about 4.5%. Well, that's pretty good. 4.5%, right? You get 4.5%. Well, that's in this market, that's pretty good. But it's going to determine how much income you have of how much home you can afford. That's just the base of where we are in the industry today. Now, keep in mind, for assistance, let's say you go with the down payment assistance, but you have this credit score, you're 4.625, to 5%. So using the assistance funding has a higher rate. But now if somebody's giving you $20,000, that's down payment and closing costs. Somebody's giving you that. Sure, 0.5%, not a big deal, right? Because within a year or two, you can refinance it. But right now, what we need everyone to really come to grips with is raising your credit score. Really, really work on your credit score. Bring down your debt ratios. Okay? Somebody's just posted they're free and clear with no debt. Well, congratulations. That's good news. Free and clear with no debt. Good stuff. I'm glad to hear that. But now, on a mortgage, it's actually creating wealth. So when you purchase a home, now, if you say you're free and clear with no debt, does that mean you own a property? Do you own real estate? Answer that question for me. Do you own real estate? You're free and clear with no debt. Oh, that was to the same question the other lady had. Okay, so again, but contact the office, 702-515-4100. Let them set you with a lender. I didn't realize that was the same question. I didn't see your name here. But okay, to your question, contact my office. Let them set you with a lender who can, you say you're free and clear with no debt. Okay, so let's see what the lender says about it. Because remember, we're the real estate brokerage. Now, when the lender tells us, hey, we got them approved up to here, this amount, then we're ready to go home shopping with what the amount the lender has given you to qualify up to. That's very important. So before you can go home shopping, your first stop is to get pre-approved. Why do we need to be pre-approved? Someone says. Well, one of the reasons is because you don't know how much you qualify for, right? I mean, do you go to the mall without knowing how much limit is on the credit card? Absolutely not. You don't want to get there and think you can't buy the Vicky's Secret, whatever you're buying, and can't afford it, right? So you check your credit card balance before you go to the mall, so you know if them red bottoms are on your your to-do list or you just window shopping. In fact, let me just throw this out here. A lot more of us need to do just window shopping for a while, because as the increase in rent goes up, you need to start preparing to save to purchase a home, because he went up this year. Just think next year what he might do. He went up 400 this year. I'm waiting unless we get some changes in the legislation to make things happen. This may be an ongoing thing. And unless they put a rent cap of a percentage that you can't go over 2 to 3% annually. I mean, this is ridiculous. They just go up, wow. $400, $500, $600 overnight. But again, sometimes we need that to help us push us to our destiny and our destination, which is home ownership. You need that. You need someone to say, I'm going up $600. Okay, that's it. It's my last lease. Okay. And don't call talking about you want to move. No, stay there. Because you've been hearing Greg DeVille for the last 7 years on radio. Been telling you, let's start working on getting your own. And now you call me in a panic. You want me to make a move all of a sudden? No, we still got to deal with the fact of your credit score. So let's work on that. Sign that lease. Stay right there. Do not move. Because where are you going to go? Because you're trying to save $100, $200? No. At the end of the day, that property went up when the tenant moved out of that. And not to mention, you got to have 3 times the amount of income to rent that home. Stay right there. But you know what you're going to do this time? You're going to go ahead and fix your credit so that next year this time, guess what? You're going to be in position that the landlord can't tell you. You'll be telling him, bye-bye, baby. I got my own. God bless the child that has his own, right? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So this is what we're talking about. My millennials, keep in mind, if you've been on a job 2 years, you can buy a condo. You're renting a condo. We could sell you a condo. Maybe you make enough money right now. You can purchase an actual home, townhome. You're young. Start somewhere. It's very important you start somewhere. Because if you continue to pay a landlord's mortgage and then he decides to sell, what's that going to do to you? Unless he sells to another investor who's going to continue to keep it as a rental, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have to move. And even though he sells it to an investor, doesn't mean you're going to pay that same amount of base rent. Because the new investor, the new sheriff in town may say, hey, I'm going up. You've been paying 12 on this 2-bedroom. I'm going up to 17. What are you going to do? $1,700 on a 2-bedroom. Am I hearing it? Yes, I am. And my phone has been ringing continuously. And we appreciate you. But it saddens me that we have to get to here to make it happen. Nonetheless, here's where we are. We're going to make it happen. We're going to work it out. 702-515-4100. Now, I want to pause for the next few moments to talk about those of you that need to sell your home. If you're in mortgage trouble crisis, if you're having an issue with getting or catching up on your mortgage payment, hear me well. We can sell your home, save your equity. We can do a pre-foreclosure sale. Sell that home. Don't let the bank take your home and your equity. Read your mail. I was with a gentleman this week, and he told Mr. DeVille, I'm afraid you're going to foreclose on the home. I went over there. I said, show me the last letter you got. We opened. He hadn't even opened the last letter from the mortgage company. The last letter says there was no sale date, but the balance was there. So, okay, now we know there's no sale date, but we need to expedite because the next month letter may be a sale date. Now, typically, when you get a sale date, typically it's about 45 days from the time you receive the letter. That's why I'm always stating, read your mail. Very, very important. If you know you're behind, don't ignore the mail. Because before they could put it on the auction, they have to disclose a sale date to you, the owner. You are the owner. Whether you paid or not, you are the owner. If you're 4 months behind, the sale date may be coming really, really quick. Okay? Typically within 90 days, you'll start getting that notice. 45 days, you'll get your first notices. 90 days, they're getting a little bit more aggressive. Within 120 days or more, they can very well put it on the auction block. You will have nothing to do with it. Once it goes to auction, someone purchases it. The next knock on the door is who? The new owner. The new owner. The new owner giving you I've heard people give them a 3-day to move out, but typically they'll give you 30 days. Well, let's do this. Contact me on my team, 702-787-7559. Let's do a pre-foreclosure sale, and I can get you 2 weeks after the sale to relocate. I got one lady, 60 days. She sold the home, wanted her daughter to finish school. Guess what she was able to do? They were able to let her stay until school is out, and then the new buyers will come on and because they were in at least 2. So they wanted to finish out their term, but they didn't want to miss purchasing this home with the pool at $675,000. They thought, wow, we're good. So they were fine with it. So we can negotiate. I'm a master negotiator. This is what I do. I've been in sales a long time. I'm gonna leave it there. Been in sales a long time, master negotiator. And I've taught my team. So I've reduplicated myself in the team on how to get this done. But if you need to sell your home, don't procrastinate. Because the longer you procrastinate, the more money and late fees and junk fees that accumulates on the property, which takes from what? Your profit from the sale. So if you go into April, now you got that mortgage payment plus the late fees. And now if you're in an HOA, make sure if you're default on your mortgage, pay the HOA. Because they too can foreclose. I had a gentleman, he was on time with his mortgage payment. He failed to pay the HOA. Guess what? They foreclosed on it. That's right. They are foreclosed over $10,000. Now, the monies that were left over went to the bank to pay off the balance of the principal, but he lost his home over $10,000 HOAs. So although you may be in default with your mortgage, pay your HOA. Because you don't need, the late fees on the HOA are by far worse than the mortgage late fees. I hope this is good information. I'm Greg DeVille, the broker owner at DeVille Realty Group. 702-515-4100. Greg DeVille, Team DeVille, DeVille Realty Group, the name you need to know right here in the Valley. So many of you have been tuning in to Facebook. I want to say good afternoon to you. It's a beautiful Thursday, and boy, is the weather looking wonderful outside. This is like boat weather, right? Or is it just me saying that? Somebody else feel like fishing? It's fishing weather. So, as I prepare to wrap it up, now, remember, if you need to sell your home, we can sell your home and save your equity. If you want to downsize, or maybe you need to upsize in home, we can do that by simply using the equity in your home. So you could sell the home, take that equity. I have a client who has $230,000 in equity. They could take that whole $230,000, guess what? Put $200,000 on the next house. You could buy a home that you owe, like right now, this client owes $270,000. Now, what they want to purchase now is like $550,000, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to sell the home with the $230,000, put $200,000 on the $560,000. They're only going to finance $360,000, right? So $300,000. The mortgage payment is good. LOL. Not boat weather. Yes, boat weather. So, Paul Gentle, good to have you, man. Good to have you. All right. Appreciate all of you. Vanessa Brandon, all right. Angela, great to see you here. Darlene, glad you're here as well. Johnny Graves, how you doing, man? Lydia Hall, yes. Ron, hey, man. Ron, are you in Arizona, man? Good to have you tuned in with us. Donata, there you are. Paul, Brother Gentle, there you go. Yes, yes. So many of you tuning in with us, but yes, boat weather. Good afternoon, Penny. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. ROI. Somebody said it's good to see the ROI. If you have any questions, I have a few minutes left here. If you got any questions you want to ask, certainly pick my brain. As I see many of you are tuned in, we want to make sure we're getting all this information and answering all the questions. Alger Taylor, there you are. Tony James, how you doing, man? All right, good stuff, good stuff. So again, just keep in mind, at DeVille Realty, we're here to help you create generational wealth. I'm here to show you how to get wealth through equity, because you're already paying wealth through equity when you pay rent. You're just paying it for someone else. So I want to give you the opportunity to have your own. Is that all right? What you think about the beard, everybody? I kind of grew a beard. Yeah, it's about 2 weeks right here. It's about 2 weeks. So look, my old clock on the wall is saying it's about wrap up time. But look, I'm very excited to continue to pour into the community. Now, do me a favor. As you're getting prepared with your taxes, if you haven't already gotten them, if you have, do yourself a favor. If you've gotten tax funds, contact my office, have them set you with a lender or one of our credit restoration analysis one of our people that do the credit restoration. Here's what I'm asking you to do. Get a copy of your credit report, find out what debts you have, and not spend your money on monetary stuff, but spend it on your credit and fix some of those people you owe. Can we do that? Because what that's going to do is improve your FICO score, which in turn is going to bring your rate down lower. Can we do that? So pay down some of your debt. Okay. Oh, that was my quitter. My wife said, LOL, not boat weather. Yeah, boat weather. So look, pay down some of your debt. Okay. I mean, you just had Christmas. What else? I mean, you got enough stuff, right? Pay down some of your debt. Get a free credit report. Contact my office. They'll set you up with a free credit report. Let the lender review it with you. Because somebody said, well, I'll just pay up. No, you don't need to pay off everything. They'll tell you exactly. They could put it into a simulator. It'll tell you what to pay that gets you the most number for your credit. Some things you could pay as minor, give you 30, 40 points. I mean, so rather than guessing, but do yourself a favor while the landlords are, and you might be in a lease and you might be okay for right now. But when the lease ends in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, the lease may go up, and I'm almost certain they will, because everybody's taking advantage of, oh, you mean I can get 300 additional a month? People are doing that. And so rather than let that continue to happen, do yourself a favor. Let's take advantage of what's available, and that's a free credit report. Pay down some of your debt. I mean, it's your debt. Let's be realistic. You know, I've seen people fall out over $150 from a family member, haven't spoken for years, over $150. But you mad because the debtor is calling you for the debt. The mortgage guy or whomever. I heard a lady was getting her car repoed yesterday. She let the pit bull out on the tow truck guy. Now you haven't paid that car, but you won't get a man. I'm just saying we need to start really being realistic. I've seen people fall out for much less with family. So anyway, look, I got to go. Time is winding up. If you have any other questions, you need to get that credit report, find out how much you need to pay, 702-515-4100. Or you could text the word credit to 702-787-7559. I'm Greg DeVille, DeVille Realty Group. Out of time, but certainly not out of information. We'll be back again on next Thursday. I'll be on another show tomorrow at 9 a.m. And listen, until I talk to you then, you have a great, safe, weather-perfect weekend, and we'll talk to you real soon. Until then, may God's best be yours. Take care.